Professional
I saw this
some of the
video
worst
chat.
and most
I knew I was gonna get it completely triggered, so we're doing a
awkward binds
blind react to
no
it.
sense, like scroll, who as
I haven't seen this video yet.
has to use the scroll wheel to switch between all 4 of his build pieces. The
That's brutal.
blind trap is one that I fell for back when I played controller, and then
I'm already completely triggered.
mouse.
I'm gonna try and just watch a bit
Aren't
though.
that many buttons, and there are a lot of binds. On a controller with no paddles, I found it impossible to have good movement since jumping requires you to press the A button with your thumb or awkwardly use your index finger if you play with claw, so this forced me into buying a controller with paddles on the back.
It's not really awkward if
The
you
issue
learn
with this was
claw.
that pressing the edit key was slow and clunky on the back paddle, and I couldn't press it fast enough. So I decided to
Practice
move that
more.
to the L1 button, which meant I had to switch my builds to one of the paddles. But then I realized that because I have 2 fingers on top of the controller, this made a large stretch between the middle and ring finger, which made the bottom 2 fingers tense and slow. No matter
Get a
what
PS
button I
controller
switched
then.
around, my gameplay never really improved. I'd fix one problem, like the editing speed, then I'd create another, and this cycle...
Play double claw and get
It does not
paddles.
help that
And
99%
a smaller
of
controller.
controllers break after a few months, especially ones with good paddles. So moving to keyboard
That's what I would do,
was my
but
fix for this.
that's better.
And it
Move
has
to
more
keyboard.
buttons, so obviously the same issue wouldn't happen again, right? Typically there are 6 major binds that you want to spread across as many fingers as possible.
No, there's way more than 6.
Edit and shotgun.
A lot more than 6,
These are the
dude.
6 binds that every single player will press the most. So if these binds are in awkward places, then it can really slow down your mechanics. Of course, there are
You gotta add sprinting, jumping, your secondary in
assault
there,
rifle button,
your other
These
weapons.
aren't ones that people typically
So,
optimize for. They're
a lot more
usually
than 6.
secondary. On keyboard and mouse, most players try to spread these 6 major binds out across 2 of their mouse side buttons and the fingers.
6 major binds, bro!
In theory, this
Jumping,
makes sense.
sprinting,
You have to have too many
moving,
on the finger as there's a delay
shooting, building, editing. This is like more than 10, bro.
Another finger on that button, the delay is removed. If,
That's
for
right.
example, you use your floor on
This
E
is
and
important.
your cone on C, you could press both of these with your index finger, but it'd be much easier to press E with your index and then C with your thumb. Try
That's
this
right.
for
Okay,
yourself.
that's important. Okay,
But
that's
don't do this
important.
on a keyboard if you've got it in front of you, because you'll probably just tab out or skip around this video. Tap one finger back and forth as if you had 2 buttons there that you were pressing. Now try it as fast as you can. Now try to push these 2 imaginary buttons with 2 fingers instead, alternating between the 2. You'll almost definitely notice that there's just no way 1 finger can be as fast as 2. Everything I've said
That's
so
true.
far
That's
sounds
true.
great in
Yes.
theory, and I'm sure you all agree because I'm all
Yes, more fingers is better. We can agree on that. That's important, chat.
Best competitive player right now has 3 build binds and his edit on 1 finger. Well, in order
That's
to
brutal.
understand this, you first need to understand the big problem with keyboard and mouse binds. One of the biggest issues that I very quickly realized when I switched from controller is the movement. When you're playing on controller,
Yep.
your left thumb moves the joystick, leaving the other 4 fingers on that hand to press whatever buttons you want. But on the keyboard and mouse, you use your index, middle, and ring finger to move. Given your right hand is on the mouse and not on the keyboard, this means that the only fingers free to press any other keyboard bind is the little finger and the thumb on your left hand. So in order to press a lot of the binds, you have to take your fingers off of W, A, S, and D in order to hit these buttons, which limits your movement. For example, if you want to press F to edit, you use your index finger, but your index finger is what you use to press D when you walk to the right. This means that the
Yes,
vast majority of
that's
players
right.
cannot walk to the right and edit at the same time, which is a big limitation. Almost regardless of what binds you use, you're going to be limited in some way. Pro player Queasy has wall bound to Q, so he can't place a wall whilst walking to the left, and he also
Brutal.
has floors bound to R and stairs bound to T.
We're in the Stone Age, bro.
To the right whilst pressing these with his index finger. Vico, who won FNCS last season, uses his thumb to press X and C, which are his binds for wall and floor, his little finger to press shift for cone, and then has his stairs on his mouse side button. This means that he can move in any direction and press any of his build binds, as none of these use his WASD fingers. But this still means that he has 2 binds built to 1 finger, which is on his thumb.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I have no idea how he builds this fast with his thumb and doesn't accidentally mash the spacebar all the time, but even this layout still has problems. If you watch him free build in slow motion, you can see how things like his cones and floors can always place at the same time, since he can press both of these buttons with 2 different fingers. But if you watch him place a wall and then a floor, there's actually a bit of a noticeable delay between these 2, as he has to move his thumb from C to X.
We don't want no delay.
He still has to move his index finger off of D, so like most people, he can't walk to the right and edit. And then there's also Scroll,
Oh
with
my
just under
goodness.
$75,000 earned, has all 4 of his build binds binds on his mouse. Scroll presses
So we can't do this.
between his weapons to open his build menu, and then he uses the scroll wheel to select which build he wants to place. It also seems like he doesn't have reset building choice enabled either, which means that when he switches to his build bar, it doesn't automatically reset to a wall like it does for
That's just trolling himself, bro.
Instead, it pulls out the last build piece he used, and then he has to scroll.
Imagine having that much skill to be a pro player, bro, and you just troll yourself like that, bro. Like,
button or cone, which allows him to press the floor and then the cone quickly, creating a double instantly. I won't lie.
ridiculous.
He's not Peterbot, okay? His mechanics are not that cracked.
Obviously
Way
not.
less than any other pro. He plays slowly.
No way.
He understands angles and peaks.
Oh, angles and peaks. You can still understand angles and peaks and press buttons the right way, bro.
Of
Like,
course, because of this, he has phenomenal movement because he's not very limited by his left.
he doesn't have phenomenal movement because he can't build while he's moving.
His solution to the keyboard movement problem is one I haven't seen
I'm trying to stay.
a pro player do.
I'm trying to
and
stay
it's
calm
one
on this
I would
chat.
recommend.
Trying to
His
stay
build
calm.
binds are on T, Y, F, and V. with his
Ridiculous.
Edit bind on G. Now, if you're looking at that on your keyboard, you'll notice that this looks incredibly inefficient, yet he's literally the fastest competitive player. When I asked him how he does this, he told me that he uses his index finger to hit T for wall, Y for floor, F for stairs, G for edit, and all of his weapon and inventory slots outside of his shotgun, which is on his mouse. Then, in order to hit the cone on V, he also uses his thumb. So this means that he hits 4 of the 6 major binds with one finger.
6 major, bro. There's
Surface seems
like
incredibly
12 major binds, bro.
You'll realize
Look.
this is a massive stretch, and it just feels incredibly uncomfortable. Like, how is he meant to walk to the
Like,
right
what if I have more things in my inventory, dude?
whilst hitting these binds? But the way that Peterbot achieves this isn't actually by using a traditional WASD setup.
Like, what if I'm-
Movement keys, he
Chat.
uses his little, ring, and middle fingers to press WAS and D instead of the ring, middle, and
Ridiculous.
index. This frees up his index
Chat, what if
finger to
I'm
hit
box
all
fighting
the
someone,
buttons
bro, and I
that
have to move this way, pull out my rifle, right? What if I have to do, like, what if I have to do this?
Little finger is in comparison to any
What if
other
I have to
finger.
do this?
Restricting it to literally just walking left with A
Right?
and reloading with Q actually makes a lot of sense.
What if I have to
In
do
terms of
this?
dexterity, which is
Right?
the skill in performing tasks, the little finger is the slowest and the weakest. But strength and speed aren't the only important factors. Individualization.
Maybe your little finger, bro. Mine
Try
is
this out.
cracked.
Straighten and bend your ring finger. You'll see that your middle finger also moves a little bit. And the opposite is also true if you move your middle finger. Now, remember when I said I struggled with the stretch and tension in my hand when I was playing with paddles back in the controller? This is exactly why.
I don't
These
know,
two
maybe.
fingers are connected by a tendon in the middle.
That's true.
and they
Key, this is
are
important.
Independent of one another. Now, this
He's right about that. He's 100%
by
right.
any means, but it goes to show the importance of the index finger and the thumb, since these can move entirely independent
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the other fingers, and they are strong, unlike that crappy little finger. With this in mind, isn't entirely
No, it depends, so it's genetic.
all of his
You can genetically have a limited ring finger,
as
this
there are
one,
2
or a
other
limited
fingers.
pinky
So
finger.
all of these players I've mentioned.
For me,
have
this is
something
limited. I can't
inefficient
move it much.
binds.
But this one's very
There are
dexterous.
no optimal
But
binds. Every single layout has
That's
some
false.
form of issue, but this
No,
is
it doesn't.
actually the trap. The trap is thinking that you'll massively improve.
I'm actually trying to
switch
stay calm, bro.
binds, which also, as I mentioned, don't exist. If you've been watching my videos,
They don't
for a while,
exist.
You'll see I've posted 2 videos in 2023.
The Martaz joystick has been out for almost 4 years. There you go.
To the middle of the
You want more
keyboard,
optimal
right
binds?
to hit right alt easier for code.
You get
And
foot
this means that my
keyboards,
movement
and you
binds
play with both your
use
feet, look.
JK instead of WASD, but I move my walk.
So yes, you can have optimal binds, bro. You can have absolutely perfect binds.
Y and H to move left and right. This
Like,
way
you don't have to be
it's
limited
faster,
to these,
okay,
bro.
which means
You can
I,
use your
unlike a lot
feet.
of these other
I
players,
also, guys.
walk to the right as I edit.
Okay,
Now,
great.
I have absolutely
So look,
improved over the last 2
I
years.
literally have 6 fingers on this hand. Look, this is how I press my spacebar, right?
Because of the fact
So look,
that I switch
1
my
finger
binds,
for movement, and then I still have 5 fingers to do stuff.
Even with the binds I have now,
So-
which are about as optimal as I can get them for myself, I still have to press I for floor with my index, which means
So,
there's
okay.
still 2 major binds on the same finger. Like I said,
Yeah, I give up staying calm, bro.
this
This video is absolutely just triggering the shit out of me.
Took around 4 months to get used to, and to this day, I'm still changing minor binds around.
That's good. Change your binds. We like it.
When I accidentally hit them. But what if I just stayed with my old binds?
It wouldn't be bad.
That's what
Always switch your binds.
This video is from the 2nd of August, 2021, which is just under 4 years ago. Notice his strange binds were the same back then as they are now. He may have changed something around small like I did, but the main major binds are exactly the same. Just like my optimal binds are not the reason I'm some cheeks. That's unfortunately just on me. The big young calc said it best 5 years ago. Optimal binds are a myth, and if you change binds, you are
Oh, the kid that couldn't. Okay, let's quote young calculator who lost his mechanical skill like 3 or 4 years ago and stopped keeping up. Yeah, that's a good person to listen to about keybinds.
People will be wondering.
Let's listen to him, bro.
Best binds. And I think looking at Vico, Cooper, and Noah Rayleigh's makes the most sense.
Okay.
They're all some of the most mechanical.
Let's hear about their binds.
And their binds are extremely efficient.
Alright, let's hear about them.
Peterball have all been using these binds for over 3 years. They all have one build bind on C, which is with their thumb. Then 2 of the build binds are on their mouse side buttons. But in Vico's case, he has 2 on his thumb, which is C and X, as we said earlier. Then they all also.
You shouldn't be pressing. Okay, that's not as bad as most people, chat. But you shouldn't be pressing.
Movement fingers. Both Vico and Noah use their.
You should have 4 different fingers for 4 different build binds.
This is the finger you need to be.
And a different finger for editing.
He uses his thumb to edit on V.
Nothing wrong with that. Thumb editing is fun.
Vico use, as you can just hit your edit with your index finger and then quickly pull out your shotgun using your ring finger on Q. So my suggested optimal quote-unquote binds are basically what Cooper uses, but with edit on F, as most people probably won't be as accurate with edit and wall both on their thumb. Now Peterbot binds may be very strange, but they're not the reason he's the player he is. If you want to find out why it's definitely impossible to beat Peterbot, click on this video on screen right now.
Alright, I'll be sure to watch it. Guys, like, don't get me wrong. We love Reisshub, bro. A lot of his takes are really good, but that video is absolutely brutal to watch. Like, that was actually painful to watch. Like, I'm glad it's over. Like, I'm actually just gonna try and breathe now because that was a tough one to like actually get through.